Yes. Satish, if I
Yeah,
can
yeah. I'm
just
stopping my
share my
time.
screen. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So, first of all, thank you very much for this kind introduction. And there are a lot of things. I'm very excited always to do a lot of new things and interact with new and young guys, young people. And in fact, now this is even a better platform because now we are interacting with teachers who actually have a potential to interact more people. So it's like the chain sort of thing. So if you can carry back, I don't know how much amount of knowledge I can give you, because I'm not a person who has a lot of knowledge in terms, but it's just an experience that I have gained uh, through the tough journey of entrepreneurship, which I'm going to share with you guys. And if you can translate that same amount of energy to the young students and to young guys, and if they can do something, it's going to be a very valuable thing. So I think that's why I'm here for. And during the talk itself, I usually love it to be more interactive, where I can see the people, talk to people, and all this sort of thing. But the digital platforms has transformed. So I think we have to adapt, and animals are the best in adoption, and we adapt very fast. So I think this is the new culture that we have to adapt to, and that's how we are here. So as I was told that I have to talk about entrepreneurship and what are the challenges, how to take it forward, how you can translate your science or the knowledge into a business that you can create. I think I don't know, we when we talk about business, there is no benchmark wherein you can say that yes, I have achieved success, because it is everything is monetary, and when it comes to monetary, there's nothing enough. So it has to be always a growing sort of thing. But we are at a level wherein we have reached, done substantial work. At least we have completed the cycle 360-degree, wherein we started with a product innovation from an idea to actually now seeing the product into the market and people coming back and telling us that, hey, your product saved my life. So I mean, that is the biggest reward that we have, and now all we have to do is just replicate those pathways moving forward. So I typically, call myself a sciencepreneur. This is a term that I've coined, and then now I want, a lot of people to become sciencepreneur, because the kind of entrepreneurs that we see today who are building tech enterprises are not the people coming from science. They are people coming from tech background, who are actually running tech-enabled companies. So they still call themselves deep tech, but they are not deep tech. They are actually tech-enabled kind of companies. Whereas we, all of us together on this platform, have potential to actually create something out of nothing and then make it big. So that's why people from science background are really really important, to take things forward. Just to give you a small perspective, as I told you, I call myself a sciencepreneur, but more than that, I'm an innovator. Even though I'm an entrepreneur now, full-time CEO, working for fundraising, new product development, and all those things, I'm still an innovator at heart. I keep doing a lot of interesting things, whichever I can, and keep interacting with all the scientists and technical guys more and more. I'm still very passionate about infection prevention, and that's the core that I've always maintained, because of my background, the things that I've seen in Indian hospitals, and what I need to do for them. I have potential, and I should, rather as a responsibility also. I'm a diehard Indian. I never went outside India, in a sense, to take any kind of education, no postdocs or something. After my PhD, I started working for the company product development like this. Very optimistic now. I call myself foolishly optimistic, because now we're trying to build a company which is more than valued at $50 million or something. uh, Nanotechnology, biotechnology interface is something that I've been working since the start, because I come from a lab wherein we used to work a lot with physicists, we used to work a lot with chemists, pharmacists. So all of us were together in one place, bound, and that's why we were always working on an interface application derived area. In the past, because of such background, I was able to develop a couple of technologies which I could successfully license out to multiple companies, patents, and then I said, okay, fine. Now I need to start something on my own, because I can't develop technologies for people who and depend on someone else to deliver it into the marketplace, and reach out to the end impact that I want to achieve with my technologies. So I said I have to take this plunge, start with my own entrepreneurial journey, and take this forward on my own, so that I can also make sure that what I'm developing also reaches to the end customer. And I think that's something is really important for an entrepreneur's life. So usually this presentation, which I've been talking to a lot of people, was more of an interactive. So I have to ask you, if you have to, let's say, build a tower, let's say build a Burj Khalifa, how do you build it? So what we will do essentially, for the next 30-35 minutes, is that I'll walk you through a small compressed MBA sort of course. There'll be a lot of philanthropic things as well, built in between, but it will be more of a technical know-how sort of methodology, and it is a very systematic methodology. It's not like I thought of building a business, so okay, fine, I created a solution and I'm selling the solution and earning the money. That's of course the way to do it, but it is very complex from that point of view, because you have to build a larger company which is going to have larger impact, which is going to create value across the chain, and then only you can call yourself a proper entrepreneur. It's not business nahi karna hai, dukaan nahi chalana hai sort of thing. You don't want to become a proprietor, right? You want to build an enterprise, you want to build a big business. So everything has to be strategic. And people from science background, the end of my presentation, I'll also tell you how people from science background have that amount of strategic thinking. You don't really have to be an MBA from some big B school to actually start your own enterprise type of business and take it forward. It requires a systematic approach, a systematic, step by step sort of things to move forward. So that is what we are going to cover in this presentation today. So let's say if you want to build a Burj Khalifa, what is the first thing that you would want to do? Anybody? Let's have it more interactive. Anybody? Am I audible?
Yes, so you're perfectly audible.
Yeah. So anybody, if you
Participants do participate.
are they writing in chat box? No, no. This is a post lunch session, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I think I need an answer from everybody now. Yeah. Anybody? No. What do you think, Dr. Satish? If you wanna, if we let's say wanna build a building, or build something, what is the first thing that we would require?
I will look at for the good location first,
Okay.
and
And
then planning, architecture, structural planning as well as
precisely, a plan is something that we would require.
yes.
First thing is planning.
Yes.
So we would have to first think, and usually this plan is usually in your head first, and then what you do is you make a blueprint of it on a paper. And this is how all the larger business ideas that you would see people who are becoming a billion-dollar companies today have started like this, exactly like this. So people who have larger dreams, bigger dreams, they actually dream what they want to build, put it onto the paper, and then they start building it. So this is called as a plan. So typically, when you want to start an enterprise or a business, what I also did was, first of all, bring everything which is there in your mind on a paper. Once you bring it down onto paper, you actually understand where do I start with, and then what you do is what I have written. Start doing feasibility analysis. In a sense, does it make sense to make it? And then you understand what are the factors which needs to be considered if it has to make sense. So for example, you said, okay, fine, I think I'm a pharmacist, I see a problem statement, I have a solution in my mind, what do I do? The first thing is you draw that structure of the molecule which you think makes sense, and then you do the testing and analysis of that molecule, you understand the factor and the feasibility, and then you go for a prototyping is validation. So whatever you have, you first try and build a smaller version of this, and then typically we do small batches, do it, give it to animals or something like that. So this is a typical pathway that we have to do. So ultimately, for any kind of business, the plan, in fact, I still have the first sheet of paper on which we actually brought down everything that was there in our mind and then started working on aspect. One of the most important thing is, again, to start something. If I say I want to start a business, it doesn't work that way. I have to start a business. If I have to start a business, I have to be a very good observer for the first and foremost important thing. So whenever you are telling your students to be, teaching entrepreneurship, you have to first teach them about problem identification, because this is something that we are not taught. This is something that we, generally take it for granted, that okay, fine, this kid in the class is a very observant kid. He keeps on observing things. But if you teach somebody the art of observation, everybody can be a good observer. Of course, the one who has this inherent skill set of being a good observant is always great. But then, unless you are a very good observant, you will never identify the problem. And that's why a lot of people who we call as non-entrepreneur or working class people typically do not identify a lot of problems around them. They're happy with the situations, or even if they're not happy with the situations, uh, uh, typically people don't take a step to try and solve the problem. But again, to uh, solve a problem, you have to first understand that there is a problem. That's the primary important thing. So when we talk about problem identification, so for example, I have decided now I want to build a business. So first thing that I will have to do is problem identification. How do I do it? So first question, so I ask myself a lot of questions. So for example, if I stumbled upon something and that is a solution that I want to build, first is, does it make sense to build it? Second, is there really a need? So typically, the examples here are innovations. People did it, people built it, but that doesn't make sense, right? Nobody needs them. People are buying it, but how big is the need? So if the need is very small, if you're actually targeting your solution for a very small sample size, it's not going to make sense, because it's never going to scale. And if it is not scaling, nobody's attracted to your business idea. What is the magnitude of change it is going to bring in the life of people? You are selling something. Signal out today, you go, you walk on the signal, there is a lot of things which are sold. You buy it and then you throw it. That's a simple thing. Is it bringing a magnitude of change? So if you want to have a scalable model, you also know that today the things which are sold on the signal, tomorrow you will see something else, day after tomorrow you will see something else. So the thing that they are selling on the signal is not consistent. That means it's out of the market. So you don't want to build a business which is, aaj tumne becha, kal you are out of the market. You want to be in the market consistently, continuously, with progressive kind of step forward. So it has to really bring a magnitude of change in people's life. It's not just an attractive thing. If you buy something out of attraction, it's not going to last for a longer period of time. So whenever you are doing your problem identification, these are the questions that you have to ask. And does it make a financial sense? There are a lot of companies we built up and they go to the drain because there is no proper financial planning. If you want to become a good entrepreneur, you have to have a systematic financial understanding, that is first. And second, a systematic financial discipline. If you are not having a financial discipline, if you at the end of the month you don't even understand ki mera paisa kahan chala gaya, I'm sorry, but it's very difficult for you to build a business, because business require a good amount of financial sense. When we talk about all these questions, and let's say we identify all these questions and addressed all these questions, and now we have the answer. Okay, fine, my I'm solving a problem which is for a larger population. For example, you're doing or developing a drug for a disease which is either infectious disease, which has a larger subset of people who would use it. It is going to bring in a magnitude of change in the lives of the people. It makes financial sense and all those sort of things. Then you can go and address all those things. So what typically you have to do is you have to go in the market. When everybody says, anybody would be saying ki ha market mein jao, market analysis karke lao, that doesn't mean that you have to really go into a market or a crowded place. What you can do is market analysis around you. Everybody, all of us are consumers, right? So we can collect market data from ourselves. We are a consumer. My father is a consumer, my mother is a consumer. is consumer, my sister is consumer, my neighbors are consumers, everybody else is consumer of something. So when you're doing a market analysis, ask those questions to yourself, to people around you, because they are the people who are buying it, who are buying products. Everybody, for example, if you want to do a consumer analysis for mobile, ask yourself first, because you are the primary user of mobile. Your brothers, your sister, your parents, everybody, they'll tell you multiple challenges. So when you go in the market and do the market analysis and say, you ask that, okay fine, boss, I am trying to build in trying to solve this kind of solution, does it make sense for you? How many people are saying yes, how many people are saying no? This kind of analysis, systematic analysis, is something that you have to do. Once you do that, there are multiple factors, and then it becomes a very easy task for you to really want to work on this solution or not. Typically, why? Because you a lot of time, people who are passionate about building something get blinded by the solution that they are building. And if we are talking about a systematic or a strategic approach, it should not happen. That is why you have to go and speak to multiple people at the same time, build multiple strategies around it, and then reach to a conclusion of one solution which it makes more sense for you to build. So when I'm saying that, you categorize the questions and the answers that you've got into identity, into the need, size, magnitude of change, and what are the current trends. And then what you do is, you arrange them into a quadrant. So the quadrant talks about essential to non-essential sort of things. So if you are addressing a I'm addressing a problem for a larger population, but nobody bothers about it. It's not essential. Uh, uh, Problem addressing pressing issue for which a larger population needs solution. Yes, makes sense. Problem addressing very few people doesn't make sense. Problem addressing pressing issue also doesn't make sense. If you are solving a problem, addressing a problem for a larger population, and it is going to bring a magnitude of change in the lives of the larger population, bang, you have a solution. So typically, this is how you can actually work out finding the solution. So first, foremost thing is problem identification, which you did. Now you are working on solution. 90% of the time, if you are so passionate and if you have gone into the market, did multiple market analysis, and then you pretty much started working on the problem identification, आपको समझ गए कि ये is the this is something where I want to now building a solution. uh, if you identify the problem right, the solution will come in your dream. And this happens to 90% of the entrepreneurs. The solution typically comes into the dream. Once you get into the dream, you get that eureka moment, and then you get a product idea. So now everything is in air, nothing is tangible. I am telling you, this is pre sort of business. So there is a lot which goes when you actually want to build a business. So this is where you are now coming up to a product idea. So for example, you went to the market, you had an intuition for being a pharmacist that, okay fine, this is a disease which is very big, and there are no good solutions available for this kind of. Or for example, there is one drug but its bioavailability is very less, and this is a problem. That problem statement is there. There can be multiple approaches, but is this really a problem? So you say, okay fine, this is a drug which has bioavailability very less, but this has 2-3 indications. Then you went out in the market, spoke to multiple people, and then you identified that, okay fine, agar main ye do indications ke liye kaam karu, doesn't make sense, not a larger population is going to look at. But if I work for this indication and increase the bioavailability of this drug, it makes more sense for me to do it. Then, so your problem identification has happened very properly. So now you have a very specific goal that, okay fine, I have to increase bioavailability of this drug for this specific indication. So regulatory pathways and all those things are absolutely clear in front of you. Then in the dream you get to know, okay fine, agar main isko ye lipid molecule lagau, and then I convert it into some kind of lipid vesicle with some sort of aptamers attached to it, then it might work. That is your product idea, which actually happens in the dream. Everything is on paper right now. But once you reach to that level wherein, okay fine, now you've figured out the solution of how I'm going to increase the bioavailability of this drug, you have to ask these questions to yourself. So if I'm going to bring this solution, first of all, why you've already addressed, because you have the problem statement in front of you, which is validated after talking to multiple people. Where you have to figure out, when you have to figure out, how, what, and who you have to figure out. Are you going to develop this solution by yourself and then deliver it for yourself. So then you're talking about building a pharmaceutical company. But if you're saying that I want to just build it and always want to remain an R&D company and then sell this technologies to larger pharma companies when they will sell it to pharmaceutical companies, then you have a different business model altogether. Your company structure would look different, your team would look different. So all these questions, when you answer, you actually reach out to a level when you have more clarity. Now you have clarity. You decided that, okay, fine. If I remain into science and do not build a larger pharmaceutical company, I can develop more solutions like this and I can solve more of these problems. So I want to remain into an area wherein I, increase the viability of multiple drugs. Fine. Your problem statement is very good. Now, and your product is also very good because now you have concentrated on a single pharmaceutical with an aptamer which will have a specific action of that specific drug. Then what you do is now you have a idea. So you have to convert your idea to proof of concept. Now again, there are systematic ways by which you can convert your idea into proof of concept. So first and foremost thing is you will have to define the problem. Once you define the problem statement very well, you will have multiple solutions available. Once you define the problem, you develop alternative solutions and you select one solution out of it. This is called as design thinking approach. So for example, the problem statement is कि मेरे को bioavailability increase करनी है of a particular drug. Now you have to develop alternative solution. Okay, one lipid vesicle is fine, but अगर lipid vesicle काम नहीं किया तो should I look for multiple polymeric molecules as well? Shall I look for something completely out of the blue, maybe some sort of hydrophilic materials or some molecules which has polar non-polar groups, something like that. And then what you do is you have two, three multiple schemes by which you work. See, scientifically we all do that. But when we talk about business, every single time we are talking about whether the market needs it or not. That's the only difference between doing it science and doing it business sort of thing. And then you select one of the solution, with multiple parameters out of it, and then you design your solution, implement the solution. What you do is post that you do prototyping. Now when you're talking about prototyping, typically again the difference between a science PhD project and a business idea is only this first statement: identify the end user's requirement. In PhD time, we do what we feel right, our supervisor feel right, and what is written in the publication. We never go in the field and talk to the end user who is going to be using this particular solution. You, all of you are pretty much PhDs here. You tell me, all of you, when you did PhD, how many of you literally actually went and spoke to that person for whom you were developing a solution? Very few of you. So typically when you are doing a business, this is where it starts with an end customer. You have to first go and ask the customer, भैया मैं इस टाइप का solution develop करने का सोच रहा हूँ, does it make sense for me to develop this solution? Because everything is going to cost you money, and that will be yours, your own pocket money. So and besides, if being successful to raise VC money or something else, it's going to someone else's money. So it's going to be a very, very risky affair. So you have to be 100% sure and doubly sure that whatever investments you're doing are absolutely right and spot on. That's why you first go and talk to user even before doing prototyping. Then you develop the prototype matching the specification. So you went to a lot of pharmaceutical companies and asked them, ki boss, I'm thinking about developing, these are the three schemes that I'm thinking. I've already patented these three schemes and I'm thinking to develop solution. Does it make sense for you to buy any of these kind of schemes that you want to help my solution or buy my solution, maybe license out my solution or something like that? And they say, okay, is okay, yeah. So okay, pharmaceutical companies is okay, fine, we will do it, but we'll be interested only these kind of schemes or something like that, and this is the way we want a solution to be developed. Okay, fine, you've got your specifications. Now you devise and then you develop the product. Ultimately you then get into the product development life cycle. So you develop the product, you do the feasibility analysis, you redesign the product specification, you go to the end customer, come back again with the specification, and then this cycle keeps on repeating. So this is a product development cycle. We all know this product development cycle that we do in our PhD and the research that we continuously keep on doing. But again, I told you the difference is that every single time in every step, your customer have to be involved with you when you are thinking about building a business solution. Okay, so now you've identified the problem, you have identified the solution, you spoke to your customer also. Now start. Boom. You have to build it. So now when you're saying that, okay, fine, everything is set. Now I have to build it. What are the first and foremost things that you would require? So you would require, you have to have a team. Now, when I'm saying a team, typically when we talk about business, when we say that, okay, fine, sir, मैं हूँ और मैंने ये solution बनाया है और मैं ये solution बनाऊंगा और मैं ये solution बेचूंगा, nobody's gonna believe you, because everybody knows one person cannot be master in everything, and accept it. Even though, no matter how smart you are, no matter how experienced you are, accept the fact that you can be a master of only one specific core area and focus on that and be the master of that focus area. That is the most important thing. Sachin Tendulkar, is a good batsman. We all identify him as a batsman. He has done excellent bowling. He has done excellent captainship also. But he realized that, okay, this is not that I want to build. I can't be the king of everything. I want to focus on my batting. This is where I am the best, and this is what I want to do. And then it feels believable, right? So when you go to any investor, and typically money, everything in entrepreneurship drops down to money. Every single day you have a threat of drying out of money and going down the drain. Today also I have the pressure of raising more money. The entrepreneurs who are higher than me, even I'm telling you, Ambanis would also be thinking about raising more money or doing, they have done deals right now wherein they have raised money. Imagine companies who are billion-dollar companies today also going for fundraising kind of activities, talking to investors. So it is a vicious circle, and it is a never ending process. So when you go and stand in front of a VC and you say, okay, fine, I am the only person who's going to do everything, that's not possible. He will not listen to you, he will not believe you. So the first thing that you will have to do when you are gathering resources is you'll have to find the team. And again, here I'm going into philosophy. When you are finding the team, finding that first person is really, really important, because that first person is the one who is going to give you strength. That is why a lot of people will tell you, बॉस तुम तो फार्मासिस्ट हो ना, और तुम्हें कंपनी खोलना है ना, तुम्हें तो एक मार्केटियर ही होना चाहिए तुम्हारे साथ टीम मेंबर, तभी तुमको सब ठीक से आएगा. I am telling you, this is my personal experience. Again, if you want to have your first member, have the first member who might have different, expertise or something like that. ठीक है, सब चलेगा. But he have to believe in the core values that you believe into. Your goals, he should trust inside you. He has to be innovative. He has to be ethical. He has to, think about your customers, think about your responsibility, and most importantly, have team working capabilities. Agar, it's like marriage, you get a better wife, or a husband, your life is sorted. And one small mistake while finding that partner and your life can be doomed. So it's like that. So typically be very clear whenever you want to have or identify that first person with whom you are going to start the company, who you are going to call as your partner in the business. That's the most important thing. So whenever you are also building the enterprise, because then when you would require more people, then after the first person is identified, then you go and reach out to multiple people with multiple expertise, establish the team values, evaluate team performances, have a very clear idea of what you want to establish together. I'm talking about establish together, establish consensus, and multiple other things which you would require. Typically brainstorming, you have to take everybody's point of view, because when you are doing business, you never know what people want. And that's why whenever anybody wants to do a market survey, the larger the market population taken into a many market survey, it's always better, because when you talk to multiple people, you get multiple point of views, and that's always better to develop a solution, or start an enterprise. So philosophy over. Coming back to the technical aspect, when you want to actually start a company, business typically comes into these three typical formats. So usually people understand building a business in terms of forms of building businesses. कि हाँ, मेरे को शुरू करना है, तो मैं कहाँ से शुरू करूँ? प्राइवेट लिमिटेड किसको बोलते हैं? पब्लिक लिमिटेड किसको बोलते हैं? प्रोप्राइटरशिप किसको बोलते हैं? So typically business forms are in three form. One is proprietor form, third is partnership form, and then a public company, basically. So proprietors are typically people who actually are opening businesses in terms of shop owners or something like that. They are called as proprietor. One person opening a shop. Now The advantage is that you can open the shop today and you can close the shop tomorrow. No liability, nothing. It's as simple as that. But the disadvantage is, again, जैसे शॉप का होता है वैसे ही आपका होगा. Your company will be local company and you'll always be treated as a local person. Nobody will look at you as a person who is building a larger enterprise or something. Then you have partnership companies. Partnerships, maybe you have public, every company that you see today, private limited or public limited, are called as partnership companies typically. Now there are three basically differentiations into this. One is OPC is a one person company, so you can still today, you have the facility that you can still register as a private limited company and still be only one director in the company. That's allowed today. But again, it is not taken seriously by investors. So आप आपका consultancy firm चला रहे हो and you want to have a private limited sort of company, ठीक है, you still can have one person, but ultimately we'll have to, identify the board members and then have a board structure and all those sort of things. Then you have private limited companies like all 90% of the companies that you would see today are private limited companies. Now private limited companies will have 2 3 founders. Minimum 3 founders is always a better thing. uh, you have a board who takes decision. You meet every quarterly, board meetings happen, you take a consensual decision, there is a democracy in the company, nobody takes authority. You have compliances, so share all your financials with MCA, and everything is being audited, and then you are doing a proper business. So typically private limited, if your company is private limited, okay fine, people look at you as a respect, and then you can actually build your enterprises. There is a bridge gap arrangement. So for example, you're sure but you're not absolutely sure of whether you want to become an entrepreneur or not. The disadvantage with private limited companies is you cannot close it tomorrow. You have to file an insolvency, and then it takes time to close down the company. You have to still run the company. Even if you are making losses, you still have to run company for a certain period of time before you file the insolvency procedures, and then you close down the company. So there is a bridge gap arrangement between, if you don't want to position yourself as a proprietor or one person company and still do not want to have the liability of a private limited company, there is a bridge gap arrangement called as LLP is a limited liability partnership. Now these are the companies that you say that, okay fine, there are 2 or 3 people who are partners in the company, but you can still close these companies very fast. You don't really have to actually file insolvency and wait for a longer period of time to close down these companies. Typically LLPs are not for tech based entrepreneurs. Even if you do an LLP for now for developing the solution, but tomorrow for becoming a bigger company, you'll have to be a private limited company. LLPs are usually lawyer firm, CA firms, and all these people are LLP, limited liability partnership firms. Now, so let's say you identified the problem, you identified the solution, you got the Eureka moment, you did the iteration, took the customer point of view, perfect solution. You worked out which type of company you want to build. You've got partner, you've got team, you're building the solution. Company be form kar li from your own money. But now to build a larger enterprise, and specifically in tech, people talk about Apple's story. Apple was built into a garage. Tell me one story a pharmaceutical company garage mein bani hai. It's very difficult for us, people who are from technology background, science background, to build something in a garage. It's not possible. Boss, हम लोग एक कंप्यूटर लेकर बैठकर कोई solution नहीं बना सकते. 10-15 हजार रुपए के investment में हमारा काम नहीं हो सकता है. So we have to build larger enterprises for which you would require substantial amount of capital backing. So at that point of time, money becomes the most important factor in any of the biology or startup in science business that we want to build in. So where does the money comes from? So there are multiple options for money. Of course, typically, whenever when I speak to the young guys कि पैसा कहाँ से आता है, तो it is always beg, borrow or steal. Stealing is a skill set which is not very common, but beg borrow is something that आज नहीं तो कलम सीख ही जाते sort of thing. So typically all these young guys say हाँ beg and borrow sir हमको चलता है, that's the best thing that we can do. So beg and borrow is of course the first thing that you will have to do, but with that how much you can build, right? You can just finish the registration task of your company, maybe uh, you know एक logo बना लिया sort of thing, or maybe business plan बना लिया, presentation बना लिया, that sort of thing you can do. But to build a solution in science based sort of thing, you would require a substantial amount of capital, which would come from a source which has a lot of capital. So you have to go to agencies. Now, frankly speaking, today in India, the entrepreneurship ecosystem is so well developed that you have multiple people who can give you funds. And fortunately, the majority of the risk capital, so when I'm talking about capital, capital is also categorized into multiple categories. Risk capital is something that is given to you कि बस मैंने पैसा डूबेगा इस एंगल से ही पैसा लगाया है. I've given you money and then I'm sure that this will fail, but if it works out. That's called as risk capital. People are risking it to the highest degree that they could. Fortunately, today, for all the people like you and me and people in science field, we have government agencies to give you fund. So we started with biotechnology ignition grant, which is given by BIRAC. Fund size is up to 50 lakh, pure grant. They don't ask you money back. All they require is, good innovation that you can bring in, good impact that you can bring in, and scale it to a level wherein tomorrow it generates employment, tomorrow it generates more money and more ecosystem. Then there are multiple grant options available. Then there is social innovation immersion program. This is a fantastic program by BIRAC, wherein they will pay you for making your dream come true. So if you want to become an entrepreneur but do not have a risk appetite to become an entrepreneur, they'll pay you as a stipend कि बस तू try करके देख एक बार तेरे को entrepreneurship जमती है नहीं. So that sort of thing is done by the government of India. So which is I think kudos to these people who are taking so much amount of risk and still doing it. Then there is Nidhi Prayas, there is Ignite Fellowship, and multiple other grant options which are available. BIRAC is one organization that you should all look for your initial fund, science-based funds, because they can evaluate science. Typically, when you go to an investor to talk about your technology-based solution or a science-based solution, they're not experts in these areas. They don't know how to evaluate you, and that's why they will never invest in you. So it's always better to get your initial capital from agencies who can actually evaluate you and give you a validation. So BIRAC has a long scientific committee who actually rigorously evaluate your proposal. So it gives you two things. One is you are talking to someone who understands your language, and he's making the decision of whether you should get the money or not. And second, you also get a scientific validation that, okay, fine, I spoke to my peers, told them my idea, and they also think that it can work out. So that's a kind of validation that you're getting from your peers. So this is something which is really important and interesting that you can do. Then of course, bootstrap. A lot of startups starts with bootstrapping. When it's a term, bootstrap, but in easy word it is saying that beg, borrow, steal. Either they say you have to arrange for your own money. So father, mother, uncle, father-in-law, mother-in-law, whosoever can invest. Then comes investors. So you have, for example, people like us who have gone 2-3 round of fundraising from government bodies. Then we went to financial investors for raising more funds, because when I'm a science based enterprise, I took we innovate biosolutions. We took around 5 years to reach to a level when we are visible to an investor, and this is okay, fine, this seems like a business proposal, let me put in money now. uh, to Okay, fine, let me hear, Milind, what you want to say. To this level, to reach out to this level, we require at least 3 or 4 rounds of funding from government of India itself. So I mean, that's the magnitude that it would require for developing a tech-based entrepreneur or a tech-based company. But yes, today the platform is available, people are funding, and there are a lot of examples like me, or companies who are coming from BIRAC have an example or a pathway set for all the people who are into tech entrepreneurship. We can take it and we can do it. So then comes in investors. In investors, you have angel investors. Angel investors are typically people who have a lot of money. Your local business owner, or some sort of philanthropist in your area. HNIs are high net worth individuals who can give you money. So in investors, they are typically angel investors, PEs, high net worth individuals, and crowdfunding platforms. So these are the people who might actually give you initial jump of money. In US, there are a lot of good crowdfunding platforms. So what happens typically in crowdfunding platforms is that you tell that, okay, fine, a beautiful video of your solution or something like that, and then people pre-book your solution. So ultimately, you're getting money to build the solution that you wanna build, but from your customer, real customers. So these are called as crowdfunding platform. There are very less in India, but there is something which is similar to crowdfunding platform in India. Then for young students can approach a few competitions. So able based is one of the best competition which is there, available. It is organized by able, which is biotechnology led association. And it does not has to be biotechnology student, pharmacist. Any biological student can apply who has a brilliant business idea, business proposal. All of you guys are teachers, all of your student, try and at least ask your student to fill in application for at least one cycle of able. There is Dr. Mashelkar have an award on his mother's name called as Anjali Mashelkar award. It does not give you substantial amount of money, but it does give you ears and eyeballs, so that you can reach out to multiple more people for raising funds and taking money. All beautiful platforms. Once these are all in the primary phase that could work. When you go to the next level there are government grants. For example, we got the second level grant like Sibri. We've got multiple other investments from NSTBD, that's National Science and Technology Entrepreneurship Board. This is Department of Science and Technology. They have multiple schemes by which incubators can fund you. And we'll be coming to the incubators also. How do we start when we talk about a tech-based entrepreneurship sort of thing? Then there is non-diluted capital. So a basic difference between diluted capital and non-diluted capital is, when you are talking to all these people, investors, and VCs and people from whom you're going to take money, they are going to ask something against the money. That's called as equity. That's partnership in your company. So for example, I'm a VC in your company. I'm investing, let's say, $100,000 in your company. I would require 20% stake in the company. So 20% of your company is mine. I will not work for the company, but I am giving money. So 20% I require the company, which is fair. If somebody is giving you money, they deserve to be on your board. They deserve to have stake in your company. Typically, when there is a very smart VC, they do not take controlling stakes in the company. You must have seen movies, people talking about, I take 51% stake in your company, so I control the shares in the company. No, none of the VCs would want to do that. You are driving the car, you are in the driver's seat, you have to have highest amount of equity. अगर आपका equity कम है, तो your company is going to go to the drain. Their money that they have invested is going to go to the drain. So and VCs are smart enough to understand that fact. So they don't typically take higher stakes in the company. But that's wherever you're sharing your company for the exchange of money, that's called as diluted capital. That means you're diluting your company, you're diluting your share value to do that. Non-diluted money is where you don't have to give stakes, typically coming from bank loans, people who are giving you loan, that is debt money, or your customer is paying for something that he's buying. So there is no liability attached to the stake in the company. That's called as non-diluted capital. But all the non-diluted capital does not come with risk. You have to pay back. VC may weigh, and the advantage with VC is they'll take your company share, but they are also risking, if the solution doesn't work tomorrow, your company doesn't work tomorrow, सब साथ में नीचे गिरेंगे. But if you are taking a non-diluted money, interest to pay करना ही पड़ेगा. So that's the way between both of them. Then when you reach to a higher ground, there are multiple VCs, P funds, crowdfunding platforms, multiple other things. Now you now know the source, how you can pitch for the fund. And typically for that, what you have to do is you have to make a business plan. And you can find this on Google. There is a business model canvas which is available. In one page you can talk about, okay, fine, these are my key customers, these are my partners, this is my go-to market strategy, this is how I'm going to build my revenue model, and all those sort of things. And then after that you raise the money from some source, and then you launch the product. Once you launch the product, you have to keep on doing this pathway. As I told you, I'm still doing R&D. We are still, developing multiple more products, churning out things. But something which remains common is research, analysis, development, and launch. So we actually completed our cycle for one product from concept to launch. Now, all you have to do is keep on continuously repeating this for multiple more products. And yes, you have a scalable company. To give you an example, company बना ली, सब कुछ कर लिया. अभी at this level, what you have done is we are at this level right now. We have launched our product into the market, and we are now here in our concept phase and research phase for two more products that we are launching in the market. So company has erected, you have reached to a level wherein you have one product performing very well in the market, and you're performing two or three products in the market. This is something that I'm telling you now for companies like us who have been in the market for last 6-7 years, performing well to a level जहाँ पर you are doing cash equal kind of business, but now you are at a phase where you have to hit the scalability pathway. Now this is something called as a chasm model, which is from people who are from Judge Business School at Cambridge, and this talks about how company scales. I'm just touching this concept. It's actually a deep concept in the whole entrepreneurial ecosystem, but I'll tell you this with an example of Reliance Geo mobile phone, let's say. So if you look at it, on why scale, it is the maximum number of customers you can reach. Now if you say Geo ka SIM card, the maximum number of people it can reach is all the people who are using smartphones and all the people who are having 4G in their smartphones. That is the maximum number of customers. So the C max is the value, whichever it is, maybe 15 crore people or 125 crore people or XYZ number of people is the C max of Geo. That means उससे ज़्यादा वो नहीं बढ़ सकते, but that is the maximum that they can reach. And T max is the time required to reach all those customers. So typically first is your lag phase, as you know microbiology का concept है. First is the lag phase. So you don't reach to any of your customer, and then you spend a lot of time. This is typically the time which you spend in the development, market study, analysis, and all those sort of thing. And then you immediately start getting a lot of customers in a very small span of time. It's called as chasm one. Now when you immediately get a lot of customers, these are the people who are adventurers, attractive, और ये कुछ तो नया है मेरे को use करके देखने का है. So these are the people who will be the first, or called as early adopters in any kind of business that you would see. These early adopters होने के बाद there is a very deep chance that you can fail, because the early adopters will use and they say hey product में कुछ दम नहीं है, and then speak to multiple more people, and that during the time आप एक plateau hit करोगे, there'll be very less users and you can die. So the chasms are actually telling you that there is death available at every moment till you reach the maximum number of customers, and while you are reaching the maximum number of customers also, there are chances that you can fall down. So it's not just reaching fast to multiple customer, but also maintaining to that level and continuously improvising to hit the scale as fast as possible. The companies today we call very successful are the ones who can reach this pathway as fast as possible. So their y-axis is steep and their x-axis is very small. So these are the kind of businesses which are these are strategy. And then at every stage of your business cycle growth, there are chances of failure, but unless once you start hitting accumulation of wealth and customer loyalty, you actually hit to a stage wherein you start getting the stability and the maturity sort of thing. But typically people fail, and when people fail, I hope is the video audio coming, Dr. Satish? ऑडियो ये तो है वीडियो था.
No, it's not coming, sir.
Okay.
1909
Okay,
so
I think
while sharing now there's an audio on button, is there sound on?
Sir, you stop it and share it again. When you share, you will see those sharing options at the base of that window.
Okay. Share computer sound.
Yes.
Motivation video this is my favorite Sylvester Stallone in Rocky Balboa. This is something that he tells, his son about failure is very emotional for me also, because I draw a lot of inspiration from his movies and the things that he's talking right now also to his son. But this will also help you whenever any of your student would come back to you with sort of thing. This is actually a very good mantra that he's telling. Just listen to this.
Mother, this kid's gonna be the best kid in the world. This kid's gonna be somebody better than anybody ever knew. And you grew up good and wonderful. It was great just watching you every day. It was like a privilege. Then the time come for you to be your own man and take on the world, and you did. But somewhere along the line, you changed. You stopped being you. You let people stick a finger in your face and tell you you're no good. And when things got hard, you started looking for something to blame, like a big shadow. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you.
So, whenever failure hits, it's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can keep moving and still getting hit. So, there are a lot of things that happens when you are in an entrepreneurial journey. In fact, you would get failures every day, and every day you would feel, all everybody is doing good. What am I doing? I mean, it's a very tough pathway moving forward, and then you would a lot of blame game happen. A lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs are kicked out of their own businesses. You've seen the situation of Steve Jobs being kicked out of his own company as well. So a lot of blame game happen. But then you have to be very strong mentally to keep it strong and moving forward. Once the failure hits, what you do is you stand up and do iterations. You forget what happened, you come back to the chalkboard again, and then you work out multiple options. You look at your science, you look at your technology, look at large logistics, marketplaces, users, consumers, and all these things are strategically available. You make it a chart, and then you'll work out hum kahan par galat ho rahe hain, where are those mistakes happening from us, and then you can rectify this mistake. This is all strategically available, and then you succeed and hit the scale and move forward. Now, this was the small, I don't know, I think I took a lot of time, around an hour, to explain about entrepreneurship and all. Now, why biotechnologists? And I call all everybody who is related to some sort of biological or life sort of thing as biotechnologists, whether it is pharmacists, whether it is microbiologists, uh, botanists, zoologists, anybody, they are all biotechnologists. Typically, why we can be, why I call biotechnologists the king of good times, is because we are the people who can actually, are studying the whole entrepreneur ecosystem. This is an S-shaped curve which we study in the primary phase of bacteria and all, and is the same which is there in any entrepreneur's journey. Patience is something which is already taught to us, because we are coming from a science background. We go to the lab, we do experiments, so we know, good things take time. And in business, patience is the most important aspect. you know the, we run reactors, so we know what is the meaning of minimum input, maximum output. This is what we study day in day out in our curriculum. We understand about diversity, what to keep, what to keep away, what to choose, what not to choose, getting rid of nuances. This is going to happen in your business every day. You're going to get nuances from competitors, from multiple people, from the field, from your customers, and you have to actually, do iterations, do something, and get the best out of it. We are great observers. As being science people, we spend a lot of time understanding and studying all these things in the lab. So we are very good, great observers, and that's something which is very important for an entrepreneur. He has to be a very, very great observer. Induction for over efficient. So we know how to run the reactors, how to get our work done from different type of bacteria, or franchise for that matter. Benefiting from others' dispute. I think penicillin is one of the best example. Is what we got from benefiting from others. Example is something literally we work, and we literally are the people who get cash out of shit. This is also something is what we guys have figured out. So we know how we can build in best businesses, and ultimately when we all do science, we are the people who make the best use of the setbacks that we get, and we turn our setbacks into opportunity. So with that, I can tell you that today there is huge amount of opportunity for bio entrepreneurship. People who are from tech and science background, there is a future. We have seen a lot of unicorns. Unicorns are the people who have built in billion-dollar enterprises, who are coming from tech, kind of IT bubble come in, then web.com bubble came in. Then today it was a marketplaces bubble which came in. People built in billion-dollar companies, and then a tech bubble came in. Sort of thing wherein people are billionaires today. People who are the richest people are from the tech background today. But the time has come that people should be billionaires should also come from science background. I think I think there's a clear demarcation between tech and science. A lot of people, okay, science and technology is brought in together, but it's a little different. And then we have to make use of those opportunities to bring in. There is huge amount of requirement of workforce which is there, and there is huge amount of capital requirement. Of course, as there are multiple areas that we can work. It's not just about typically science, but also into wellness space, lifestyle space. A lot of people from our backgrounds are building companies who are into wellness spaces or lifestyle spaces, primary care, tertiary care, conventional. People are opening hospitals, providing healthcare ecosystem solutions. So multiple other things are happening. The only thing is regulatory. I don't have to get into this because we all, as pharmacists, you all know what are the regulatory pathways and what are the regulatory hurdles. These are the only challenges in our ecosystem which is inhibiting a lot of us to becoming entrepreneurs and becoming this process. But we have to take care of that aspect, understand it well, weigh out your pros and cons, and take it forward. Always work out at the IP landscape, because we are in an area where technology is there. Wherever there is technology, IP has to be strong. And when I'm saying IP, it's not just about patent. There are a lot of things that you can protect, and you can have IP about: trademarks, design, copyright, state secret, a lot of things that you can work out. Look at all those things. So I'll just spend a very brief time about on our journey, what we did, what we are doing, how we are moving forward. So I started my journey post my education in 2007. I graduated as masters in biotechnology. I started my journey with Ranbaxy laboratories back in 2007. Then I realized I worked for a year, and then I realized, oh my God, I am a scientist. What am I doing here? Then I left Ranbaxy. I started working in Serum Institute of India, doing good, learning a lot of things, because Serum is a big house wherein you get a lot of knowledge. There is huge amount of knowledge available in Serum Institute of India. I worked there, and they said, oh my God, what am I doing here? And then I said, okay, fine, I have to do something. I have to build something on my own. And that's where after my exams, I studied, I gave for exams, and then I joined Center for Nanobiosciences at Agarkar Institute, which was the place wherein I really got an opportunity to build something on my own. Because this is a lab wherein you're completely independent. You have the opportunity. In fact, you have to find for your own resources. You have to find money on your own. Do everything on your own. Sort of, you become independent during this 5 years of PhD that you spend in Paknika's lab, and you get at the end of your PhD, you feel like, okay, fine, now I can do things on my own. And during the due course of me doing my PhD, I was going in and out of the hospitals. I was looking at infections, multiple places, and I said, okay, fine, I have to do something. And then one fine day I got idea that yes, there is a solution that is available with me, that we are working, and this can be a solution that we can build an enterprise or a company onto, and I can build this solution. And after that, I found my first person with whom I can actually build a company, who was doing PhD with me, my contemporary Dr. Prasad, who used to share the same amount of passion and energy, and same amount of zeal, that yes, we have to solve this solution, we have to solve this solution, and solve this problem and build a solution, and we have to build a solution in India by ourselves. So this is where we started, an old photo where we actually started our journey. Uh, we work, we innovate by solutions. If you read the name of the company, it's actually a statement more than a name of a company. It's a statement called as we innovate by solutions. When you take the name of the company, you inevitably become the part of the innovation journey in the company. So you become my friend, my partner in the innovation journey, because you're saying we innovate by solutions. So we work very dedicatedly in the area of infection prevention and control. Our mission is to have zero infections and save millions of life, and reduce the problem of antimicrobial resistance. With that, our vision is to reduce hospital acquired infections with our patented nano-GSI technology. And based on that, we have Silverguard range of antimicrobial medical devices and consumables, which we want to deliver to each and every hospital and reduce hospital acquired infections. That's a dedicated area that we work. So I'm married to silver nanoparticles since last almost 7 years now, and I still carry the same amount of passion when I'm talking about silver and silver nanoparticles to people. uh, I'm proud that we are one of the first people who actually brought it into the fame, into the light, and taking it forward with the fullest potential and at a commercial value that these molecules can bring in onto the table. Now I don't play a lot of scientist kind of a role. I play more of a product new business development, funding, strategy kind of role in the company as a CEO. Prasad look after the whole technology aspect, looking at production, tech development, looking at regulatory pathway, compliances activity. Anupama, who was our third partner, we all know each other since last 10, 12 years now, have a very strong chemistry amongst us. And Anupama looks after the operations in the company. Fortunately, though we were friends, but we were, sharing the same vision, but our skill sets were different. Anupama always was very systematic, and of course girls are, women are very systematic and well placed sort of things. So she always have her mind very systematically placed, and right now she's also in the company doing the job of dedicating job to work to multiple people, operations, and keeping things on the pace and sort of thing. Prasad was always a guy who was more interested in doing more science, and I was a guy who was always doing more networking kind of activity. So our core skill sets actually helped us to diversify amongst ourselves, being from the same background and the same team. And this is something which is a very strong and a very important chemistry that you would require when you want to build a company. I would say this is one of the best thing in our company right now, besides the technology that we have. The team constitution, we have very strong team of advisors, and of course, as I told you, you cannot build everything on your own. We started with three ourselves, and now we have 15 people. But advisors always play a role, and your advisors should be the people who are the users of your products. So Dr. Sanjay Kulkar and Dr. Pankaj Joshi are the people who are very strong influencing urologists in India, and they are the one who are the end user of my product, and that's why they are my advisors, because they're going to tell me, they'll become the devil's advocate and say, hey Milind, I think you're doing wrong here, you have to do something else. Dr. Ogle, of course, who doesn't know him, one of the top 2% scientists across the globe, is our scientific advisor. So for any kind of science advice, we know that, okay, fine, who's the go-to person who will always tell us what are the solutions and all. And Sudhir is a financial advisor. Being our financial advisor, he's also an investor in the company. Imagine a situation, a person is on your board because he's investing money in your company. I mean, that adds to the value of a company and the credibility of a company, that okay, fine, people are associated with you and also giving you money to be associated with you. That is something that is where the success can be defined really. We started a journey in 2016, established VNode Biosolutions with the fund from BIRAC, government of India. Then we got, because we could show a very fast success story in 1 year's time, We got multiple grants like SIBRI and NSCBD in 2017. Moving forward in 2018, we actually, were ready with a technology and, a concept called as nanogicide, which is our silver nanoparticles technology. And in fact, we were the first company, first startup to get an ISO 13485 certification. And since we had a very strong strategy, we could immediately establish the concept of the product that we wanted to develop and get a patent granted in 2022 or 20 immediately for the silver nanoparticles. And we also received a blue chip VC fund. Typically on tech startup, government can pay you money, give you money, but a typical blue chip VC will not, invest into your company. But we were able to successfully do that, and that's why we got featured into Industry Inside magazine as one of the top 10 biotech companies amongst Serum Institute of India and Biocon. So which gives us a lot of pride and humbleness at the same time, that we have to deliver also to these challenges. And by 2021, we actually showed that yes, we can deliver and we can save lives of patients and people. So we were working in infection prevention. Superbugs are taking lives. Typically, the difficult situation is in hospital acquired infections, which is causing a lot of economical burden, and that's why we have to use antibiotics, and there is no choice of antibiotics which are left because of the superbug. So it's a vicious cycle. We have to change it somewhere. That is why we require new antimicrobial molecules. Silver works out to be one of the best antimicrobial molecule because it has been using. We've been using it since last ages altogether into multiple forms. A completely natural material having fantastic antimicrobial activity, broad spectrum at the same time. And when you convert silver into silver nanoparticles, the activity increases tenfold, toxicity decreases tenfold. When we and The best thing that we have in our hands is, even though silver nanoparticles are known to us since last 20 years or so, it's a very crowded area, but we could still get a patent granted is because we thought differently. We identified the problem which was there is, yes, we know silver, but nobody is using silver nanoparticles at the fullest extent that it could have, the potential that it can have. Commercial scalability, affordability, these were the problems that people are facing. Today, the nanogicide that we have has the best activity across all the nanoparticles, and we are proud to say that. We have the toxicity is very less. We are very cost effective. Having the highest amount of stability to any kind of particles that we are manufacturing, and efficacious. We are so into silver nanoparticles technology that today we are the only people who can manufacture 10,000 ppm concentration of silver nanoparticles and yet remain stable kind of formulation. So we went into aerospace engineering. We spoke to multiple people. That's the amount of energy and time and lives that we have given for silver nanoparticles technology. So why we identified these problems. The problem, Lifebuoy tried it, Pitambari tried it, Samsung tried it. All of them failed because they were looking at B2C models. Actually, it is a B2B sort of thing, and it has to be a value addition sort of thing. It has to be looked from a value perspective. So a lot of people are failing for stability, scalability, affordability, and versatility of the nanoparticles. And we spot on hit on these specific aspects and develop a solution which can actually, give us a solution for all these aspects. So the problem we are trying to solve is hospital-acquired infections, which happens to 1 in 10 people admitted in the hospital. Even if you are going to visit your relatives, chances are that you can catch hospital-acquired infection. It can increase the hospital stay. Besides, it's not just a problem for the patient, but also a problem for the hospitals and multiple things. If you look at hospital, you find that there are multiple hospital-acquired infections, UTIs, ICU patients getting pneumonia, surgical site infections, bloodstream infections, a lot of other things. UTI came out to be one of the biggest. So we said we want to focus on UTI first, but at the same time, we are also focusing on ventilator-associated pneumonia. We're working on central line-associated infections. We're working on hemodialysis catheter, and of course, CVC. So when we look at UTI as one of the largest challenging factor, the biggest reason why catheter-associated UTI happens is because catheter as a device, which is actually helping you draining urine out of the bladder, is also helping the bacteria climb inside the bladder. So these are the humble devices, catheter like this, or these are the tubes, ETT tube, or the central venous catheter, which is half inside, half outside the body. These are the reasons by which the hospital acquired infections are happening. Why can't we make them smarter? And that's what we do. We actually work on making these devices smarter. And we said no, we just don't want to be technologists, we want to become marketeers also. We were very clear that we want to build a large enterprise, a large company. So we took a step of something that we don't know. I've not been a marketeer, none of my founders were marketeer, but now with the amount of energy and the zeal that we have hired people who can do marketing very well, and they are doing marketing. And now we have a brand called the Silvogard into the market. We have this is the first product that we have launched. We said no, I'm not going to only impart antimicrobial activity to the catheter. I'm also going to change the design of the catheter, which since last 40 years nobody did it, nobody had looked at it. And the perception about having technologies in the medical devices field in the medical community today was from the Western world. All the larger MNCs only can come up with technology based solution, या फिर इंडियन कंपनीज आर ओनली इन्वॉल्व इनटू ट्रेडिंग काइंड ऑफ बिजनेसेस कि फॉरेन की कंपनी का माल इंडिया में बेचते हैं. नो, इंडियंस आर द टेक्नोलॉजिस्ट, वी आर द ब्रेन्स. बाहर की कंपनीज में हु आर डेवलपिंग द सॉल्यूशंस, वी आर द पीपल हु आर डेवलपिंग द सॉल्यूशंस. व्हाई कांट वी डू इट सिटिंग इन इंडिया, एंड व्हाई कांट वी मैच द क्वालिटी? यस वी कैन. Three young guys like us can do it, everybody can do it. And that's the vision that we are taking forward. And with that, today we can proudly say that we have reached out to 15,000 customers altogether, saved around 11 crore of healthcare cost, saved more than 6,000 UTIs, and still saving a lot of more UTIs and saving antibiotic usage. And we're very proud of what we are doing, and doing everything in India from the scratch, from the ideation to the product development to the delivery part in India. Happy to share that we have been supported by multiple organizations, and all these organizations are actually taking a lot of effort to do this task and making India proud and making India first kind of thing. I would still request all of you as a concluding statement that, whenever you go back in your academic session starts, please inspire all your students to remain in India, do something for India, and we can do it all together. We can do it. There is no dearth of money in India. There is no dearth of resources in India, and we are smartest people on the earth today available. All the smart things are done by Indians. So take that with you to all your students, inspire them to become entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs at the same time, and take things forward. Thank you very much. These are all our social media addresses. We as young company are very active on all the social media platform, very connected with people. Stay connected and always happy to share. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for such a entrepreneurial session. Now the session is open for question and answer. I request participants, if you have any questions to ask, you can ask it directly to Lisa. The questions from participants, please. Any questions, students? Participants? You can also post
Participants can unmute and ask the questions.
No questions means either the lunch was heavy or my talk was heavy.
The talk was superb.
Yeah.
So what a remarkable journey of your We Innovate Biosolutions, sir.
It's still going on.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So, didn't you try with other nanoparticles, metallic one? Like it is said, like gold nanoparticles, they are having much better value, and they are also, since in the traditional Indian system also, like Swarna Bhasma and all these things. So gold also has a value. So didn't you had a different parallel segment growing on the gold nanoparticles?
Okay, I can answer this scientifically, but today I will not answer it scientifically. I'll answer you an entrepreneurial answer.
Yes, sir, I want that
answer,
only.
Okay, entrepreneurial answer says that you have to have a focus, because building one small thing itself takes so much amount of energy and time that you cannot do another thing. If you do not have focus, you're gone. focus is the most important thing. If the amount of innovations that I could do in silver nanoparticles, because I'm doing only for silver nanoparticles, we have done uh, things on a different scale altogether. I'm competing with a US company for silver nanoparticles technology today, and tomorrow, because of the cost advantage that we have in our hand, we might replace them. I mean, I'm a foolishly optimistic guy, so I want to think like that we will replace them at some point of time. So if I'd have been parallelly working on gold, I would not have been able to successfully do it in silver. So that's the reason. You have to have a focus. Maybe I can do it on gold tomorrow once my silver is exhausted, but not right now. I want to focus on silver right
I mean, exhausted from your side.
now. No. So there is one important aspect that a lot of science-based entrepreneurs fail, and a lot of BIRAC platform. BIRAC have around 2,500 kind of startups being funded. We were one of those early ones, but a lot of people fail. One of the major reason of science-based people failing into entrepreneurship is not accepting the facts in the market. I'll tell you the biggest fact and the eye opener for all of us is that any technology has a lifetime, and the lifetime of any science-based technology is maximum 5 years. After 5 years, is going to be redundant technology. In mobiles, you would see the mobile that you were using 1 year ago is that some no, doesn't something that you're using, right? In mobile technology, the lifetime of a technology is hardly few months. In few months your mobile is gone. You want to use a new mobile. So every technology has a lifetime. So if you spend, let's say, 5 years in only tech development aspect, till the time you come to market, your market is gone because the technology is obsolete now. So you have to keep this in mind, that you have to be fast. If you are thinking about developing a solution which would take 5 years, then you should be developing a solution which is required after 15 years in the market. You got my point?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, Milind sir, in line with that, same question I would like to ask. So anyway, very nice presentation, very informative, sir. Very, very nice presentation. So let me tell you the fact that as an academician, we have a knowledge, quite academic point of view, we have good knowledge, and practical point of view in lab also. But let us say I'm very good at ideation, but I'm identifying problem even and given possible alternative solution. But I don't have that much of time and energy to put in. As you have said, that this high-paced work, you are to achieve the goal and product in a time deadline manner is not possible, suppose. So what are the possible option if I am very bad at execution, rather I am not confident on it? So how can I get recognition for my ideation?
Okay, great. I think Abhijit, you have asked a very valid question, which a lot of scientists like us actually think of. When I was developing, pretty much solutions, I mean, me and my wife have these kind of discussions almost every month, sort of thing. That okay, fine. I'm a guy who is a free thinker. I want to think multiple things. My horizon is large. I want maybe if I'm not stuck in entrepreneurship, I can come out with some solutions which are like larger problem solver sort of thing. This happens. So one thing is what a suggestion which I very recently gave to a doctor who had asked me कि boss मेरे को बहुत सारे solutions आते हैं मेरे दिमाग में, is I said whenever you come, a solution comes to your mind, or you're a free thinker and things comes to your mind, start writing it onto the paper. Now you are not the person who will be developing these solutions or taking it forward, because your expertise is in thinking solutions, is not in developing solutions or delivering solutions. So first of all, you will have to identify this. If you have identified that okay fine, मेरे पास इतना time नहीं execution का, or first of all you have to ask yourself this question, whether you are saying no because you don't have time or you don't have expertise. If you don't have time, then do the calculation. If you spend that amount of time rather than going and teaching into academics and building the solution, if the returns are higher in building a solution, you should go for building the solution. But if the returns are not very higher in of your giving time to an academics, then it's better that you remain an academic and do something else with your thinking kind of a process. But when you jot down what you are writing, what you can do is you can identify people who can do it better than you, and it's absolutely fine that you come up with an idea and someone else builds it and a completely different person delivers it into the market. Completely fine. It's okay. But then you have to make yourself happy that, okay, fine, I'm content that the solution has been developed by me. Chances are that since you have developed the solution, you will be 0.1% of the revenue which is generated by the product. Fine, it's okay. You're still getting 0.1% of the revenue, but you're free to do something else that you want to do. So, exactly same solution, same problem is happening with a lot of companies who are started by scientists. They have 40% equity in the companies, 50% equity in the companies, and the person who is actually running the company have 20% equity in the company. Zero. The technology is better, the products are better, but none of the investors want to invest into this company because the person who is having 40% equity is a scientist who is sitting at home doing nothing in the company. So it is not an investable company. तो आप बना भी लो वो एंटरप्राइज, बना भी लो वो कंपनी, तो आगे नहीं बढ़ेगी, उसका फायदा क्या है? So it's better that you remain a minority stakeholder in the company and delegate it to someone else जो कर सकता है. So for example, if you are a thinker, you have a better solution, give to some of your students, let them do it. You support them, give them money, help them take things forward. Because once they become bigger, of course it's also going to be their effort, but at the same time it's your solution also. And if you're sitting on a smaller portion, be happy because you're not contributed to the another phase of that journey, which could be even dangerous one, high risk taking journey. I hope I was able to address.
Yes, sir, yes. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
So there's one question from Dr. Kuldeep Ramteke, sir. It's in chat box, sir.
Okay.
So please enlighten on some concepts of service industry that could be used for startup.
Today, I think there are very good examples of service industries which are growing much faster. A lot of my friends are right now working in. One second. Let's see. A lot of my friends are actually running home care companies, and they're scaling because the scale of operations can be territory wise, and then once you have set a differentiator into the market. So typically what happens in services industries and product industry, the major difference is that you can have a differentiator in the product. In services model you don't have a differentiator. All the IT companies that you see today are service industries. They were service industries at one point of time. लेकिन सबको पता है, अरे हाँ TCS है तो भी प्रॉब्लम, मेरा कोई सॉफ्टवेयर बना सकता है, विप्रो है तो भी मेरा सॉफ्टवेयर बना सकता है. So there was no differentiator. So all these companies know now they have converted themselves from service industry to product based industry. They're saying, okay, now we are not service based industry. We are giving a product. We are developing a product for solving your problem as a service. So they have developed a product for service. This is the kind of thing that they have done. So they are still in service industry, but they have a product for service industry. That sort of thing is what I'm talking about. So any kind of automation that you bring in service industry, any kind of new concept that you bring into service industry, everything is more and more valuable that you could do to the service industry. So I think the most important thing for any industry for that matter, of course service में पैसा बनता है, अच्छा खासा पैसा बनता है, only because of the reason that your capital expenditure is very less, because you don't have to build a factory, go through all the quality process, stock bana ke rakha, bika nahi bika, those risks are not there. You are just providing a service and getting money for that service. So capital expenditure is very less. Your profit margins could be high, but the problem is scalability nahi hit hoga, because if your product is liked by people, you can hit scales. In service industry you will always be restricted to certain number of customers because it's B2B, and even the profit margins are high, but the revenues could be lower. So that's the balance between the things that you have to do. But to remain competitive, I think you have to be innovative. Even though it is service industry, innovation is the key. I hope I was able to address.
Yes. Any other questions from the participants?
Hospitals is also service industry. And if they don't innovate, go in the drain.
Yes, true. I think no more questions from participants. So thank you once again, sir. You highlighted on various aspects of science and entrepreneurship. Explain about the plan before you do, the problem identification and its solution with systematic approach, then idea to proof of concept, prototyping, how to start a venture. You explain different types of companies too. You also focus on the financial resources and the funding that you have to fetch it from the different agencies. You explain very well that business plan, buy entrepreneurship, as well as IP landscaping. You also highlighted on the company's journey from the scratch, how it grown as on today. So it's wonderful journey, sir. So on the behalf of organizing team, now I'm request you to, sir, kindly accept our e-certificate. So it's visible to you all?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Kindly accept our e-certificate and same will be emailed to you shortly, sir.
Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Satish. Thank you very
Yes.
much, Dr. Vidita. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for inviting me. It was been a great journey. Thank you. Have a nice
Same
day.
here, sir. Have a nice day, sir.
Have a nice day, everybody. Stay connected.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Bye.